Hello, my fellow cephalopods. It's Yo Cup of Joe, and today is a bittersweet day in Inkopolis. Patch 5.0 has just been released, which will most likely be the end of content updates for Splatoon 2. We can still expect more balanced patches if the developers see that something is too powerful or too weak, but don't hope for any new weapons, maps, or modes after this. It's possible that a new Splatoon expansion will be released in the future, but Nintendo has not mentioned anything about that, so don't get your hopes up. I'm just saying, it is possible. In today's video, I'll be going through all the changes and discussing the effects I expect them to have. But before we get into all that, I must say thank you. Thank you to the developers of this beautiful game, which is now one of my all-time favorites. Thank you to all of the friends I've made through this game for all the joy you've brought me over the past few years. Thank you to all the viewers who made my journey as a content creator worth starting. And thank you to everyone who has ever played Splatoon with me. As a teammate, as an enemy, as a DC. Thank you for getting into my lobby so that my game could start. It has been such a roller coaster. I can remember falling in love with this game pretty much instantly, and when I started getting into ranked, I remember being such a rager. I'm glad I was able to learn how to enjoy being competitive without going berserk after a string of losses. I've learned so much because of this game and because it inspired me to create this YouTube channel. What a trip it's been, and it's still not over. This game still has plenty of life left in it. Let's read these patch notes and find out what the future of Splatoon 2 looks like. Splatfest Turf Wars have been added to private battles along with all 24 Shifty Station maps from previous Splatfests, complete with Splatfest music and past Splatfest ink colors. Well, they just started right off with the main course here, didn't they? Splatfest being a private battle option is a huge deal because it means that the Splatfest celebrations can continue even though Nintendo's official Final Fest has come and gone. Being able to play on Splatfest maps with Splatfest colors will open the door for so many fan-driven celebrations. Official Splatfests might be over, but the players who are dedicated to this game can now rally behind community-created events. Splatfest tees will be permanently added to the game with their signature ability doubler main gear perk. This is pretty cool, not much of a game changer, but it'll be nice to have the tee as an option to further enhance the Splatfest private battle experience. The Splooshomatic, Splashomatic, Splattershot, Splattershot Jr., Aerospray, 52 Gal, and N-Zap all got the same buff, 17% more damage against people using Booyah Bomb. So all the short-range weapons can shred through the Booyah Bomb shield much faster, which is fair because those weapons having shorter range means that they have to be much closer to the Booyah Bomb user to even hit them at all. The Splat Roller and Carbon Roller got a similar buff of 2% extra damage to Booyah Bomb users. Same thing here. These weapons have shorter range, so it's fair for them to deal that extra damage. Booyah Bomb has been seeing a lot of play lately, so I was expecting to see that special get nerfed, and I'm happy with what they decided to do. Now a whole bunch of very common weapons will be more likely to play aggressively against a Booyah Bomb instead of running away from it every time. Luna Blaster's 50 damage radius has been increased by 2%. Pretty small change, but I don't see the weapon used very much in competitive, so a buff was due. I don't think a weapon like this has much of a place in the competitive scene, and I don't think that this buff will change anything. It's got great killing power, and it'll be even easier to use now, but the short range makes it a very niche pick. There are just too many other better options. Tri-Slosher used to sometimes miss when it shouldn't if the enemy was standing in just the wrong spot between the middle hitbox and one of the outside hitboxes. This has been fixed. I think this weapon is in a similar spot as the Luna Blaster because of its short range, it only has very niche uses. This fix won't change much about that, but now you can take both weapons into solo queue and have a lot more fun with them. Squeezer's tap shots now consume 12% less ink. This is a great buff to an underused weapon. I like it. In order for this weapon to see play, it needs to have something that the Splattershot Pro doesn't. The Squeezer has nice defensive kits, while the Pro's kits are much more aggressive. With the increased ink efficiency, I think the Squeezer just might find its place in the meta as a weapon which can play very passively, while also being able to apply constant pressure with an endless supply of tap shots for its opponents. Galuga Doolies also got an ink efficiency buff of 6%. This weapon is in a similar spot as the Squeezer, where its main competition, the Dooley Squelchers, is almost always a better option for its more aggressive kits and more consistent main weapon. We'll see if this ink efficiency buff is enough to give the Glugas a spot in the competitive metagame. Flingza Roller's vertical fling now paints noticeably better. The foil Flingza has potential to be a decent midline weapon with its suction bomb and tenta missiles. The way the paint falls like a slosher attack makes it worth considering on certain maps, but most of the time you should just play slosher instead because it's faster. At least this buff will make the Flingza a little more viable. The Squiffer used to deal 70 damage with an almost fully charged shot, and now it will deal 80. I have a Squiffer user on my competitive team, and he uses partially charged shots all the time. This buff will definitely help the weapon out in a team setting. That extra damage could make a difference in a lot of situations, but the Bamboozler is still a much better choice most of the time since it can deal 99.9 damage. GooTuber got a 1% range buff when fully charged. Okay. That is a change. Not one which I can perceive, but okay, it happened. The GooTuber did deserve a buff, so I won't complain. The Nautilus got an 8% buff to its accuracy when shooting from the ground. Jumping will decrease the accuracy back to what it was originally. I don't see very many Nautilus users out there, and I don't expect that to change, but those of us who are dedicated to this weapon have been rewarded with some extra killing power. I'm pretty happy about this change. Dapple Dualies now paint 3% more with their shots. I don't think that the Dapples needed much of a buff, but they got a pretty small one here. For a hyper-aggressive weapon like this, that tiny change could definitely make a difference in some situations, so this is a nice buff. Splattershot Pro now needs one more sub of main power-up to reach 49.9 damage per shot. Running enough power-up for 99.9 damage will now leave you with even less space for other gear abilities. Nintendo seems to really want to let the Splattershot Pro keep its 2-shot 99.9 damage potential, but I think that power is a bit much on this weapon. As it is now, even after putting on enough main power-up for 99.9 damage, you still have 5 gear sub-slots available. So that means you could give yourself a bit of swim speed, quick super jump, ink efficiency, ink resistance, or whatever else you want while still running around two-shotting people. That's not balanced. 99.9 damage should come at an even greater cost on this weapon, but hey, maybe I'm just mad because I get killed by this weapon a lot. Moving on to special changes, inkjet shots now soar through the air 5% faster. This is a pretty cool buff to a special which has slowly fallen off in use. Inkjet is supposed to be a scary weapon because it has good damage and good range, and the fact that you can fly around while using it allows you to get an angle on anyone. Unfortunately, the Inkjet does not give you any sort of armor or health buff while in the air, so nowadays most players know to react to an Inkjet by shooting them out of the sky. The increased projectile speed should help Inkjets protect themselves a little better. The Ultra Stamp's first swing now comes out 2 frames faster. Using the Ultra Stamp special does leave you pretty vulnerable while you're trying to complete that first swing, so this tiny buff will probably actually make a difference to a lot of people. The Vanilla Splattershot, Vanilla Splat Roller, and Vanilla Blaster can all get their Splashdown special 10 points faster now. This will allow these weapons to get their special ready sooner and play even more aggressively. The Vanilla H3 and Vanilla Splat Dualies will also get their Tenta Missile special 10 points sooner. This will give these weapons the option to sit back a little more and spam their Tenta Missiles. I don't know why they did this. I'm getting pretty tired of all the special spam in this game, but hey, now these weapons can join the special spam party. Yippee. And there were a few changes to the weapons in Salmon Run 2. The Worker's Range Blaster consumes 8% less ink, the Worker's Carbon Roller has higher max damage, and the Octobrush also got a damage buff. I don't play Salmon Run enough to say if these changes were necessary, so we'll just have to trust Nintendo on this one. Schellendorf Institute and New Albacore Hotel got some map reworks. The roof on Schellendorf is lower now, and the side areas are expanded depending on the mode. You're going to want to check this out. You can now reach the roof from the side areas. On New Albacore Hotel, they made it easier to access higher areas in your base by adding more inkable walls, and in Tower Control and Splat Zones, the center area will be pretty different. That's all I got for you guys today. The rest of this footage is just going to be me looking around for new spots on these maps. Thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to support the channel. I've got a whole bunch more Splatoon 2 videos coming your way, so if you're interested in more educational Splatoon content, then stay tuned. See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!